What if the greatest power in your life has been sleeping inside your mind this whole time? What if just a few minutes of the right meditation could unlock clarity, success, and peace you have been searching for? And what if the moment you learn to control your mind, your entire reality begins to change? Most people walk through life believing they are using the full power of their mind, but the truth is far different. What they are actually using is only a small surface layer of an incredible system that was designed to create, solve, imagine, and transform reality. The conscious mind is only the tip of the iceberg. Beneath it lies a deeper level of intelligence that silently records every experience, every belief, every fear, and every dream. This deeper level is constantly working, constantly shaping the direction of your life, even when you are not aware of it. Think about it. Every habit you have, every reaction you make, every decision you repeat again and again is not controlled by effort alone. It is controlled by patterns stored deep within the mind. These patterns act like invisible programs. If those programs are filled with doubt, fear, and limitation, life begins to reflect those patterns back to you. Opportunities seem distant, confidence feels fragile, and success always feels just out of reach. Not because the world is against you, but because the deeper part of your mind is simply repeating the instructions it was given over the years. But here is the powerful truth most people never discover. Those inner programs are not permanent, they are not fixed, they can be changed. And the moment you learn how to access the deeper level of your mind, you begin to gain influence over the patterns that shape your life. The same mind that once repeated fear can begin repeating confidence. The same mind that once focused on problems can begin discovering solutions. When the surface noise of the mind becomes quiet, something remarkable begins to happen. A doorway opens to a calmer, more creative state of awareness. In that state, the mind becomes highly receptive, highly focused, and incredibly powerful. Ideas appear with clarity. Solutions rise naturally. Your imagination becomes sharper and more vivid than ever before. This is where real transformation begins, not through struggle, not through forcing yourself to change, but by guiding the deeper intelligence within your own mind. Once you understand that this hidden power exists within you, meditation is no longer just a way to relax. It becomes a key that unlocks the deeper control room of your life, a place where thoughts become instructions, and instructions quietly begin shaping the future you are moving toward without even realizing how much power has just awakened inside you. Most people try to solve their problems while their mind is racing, tense, and overloaded with thoughts. They think harder, they push harder, they force solutions, yet the more pressure they create inside their mind, the more confused and exhausted they become. What they do not realize is that the most powerful state of the mind is not the state of stress or struggle. The most powerful state is the calm state where the mind slows down, relaxes, and begins operating at a deeper level of awareness. When the body relaxes and the breathing becomes calm, the brain naturally begins to shift into a slower rhythm. This is a state where mental noise fades and clarity begins to rise. In this state, the mind is no longer fighting against itself. Instead, it becomes quiet, focused, and deeply receptive. Thoughts become clearer. Imagination becomes stronger. Awareness becomes sharper than before. This calm mental state acts like a doorway between the conscious mind and the deeper intelligence that exists beneath it. Normally, the conscious mind acts like a guard at the door, filtering every idea, every belief, and every possibility. But when the mind becomes relaxed, that guard softens. The door begins to open. Information begins to move freely between the surface level of thinking and the deeper level where creativity, intuition, and powerful mental resources exist. Many of the greatest ideas in human history did not appear during moments of intense stress. They appeared during moments of relaxation, reflection, or quiet focus. That is because when the mind enters this calm rhythm, it gains access to deeper connections and insights that are normally hidden behind everyday noise and distraction. In this state, the imagination becomes incredibly vivid. You can picture goals more clearly. You can see solutions more easily. Your mind begins to accept positive ideas with less resistance. This is why a relaxed mind is not a weak mind. It is actually a highly efficient and powerful mind that is operating at its optimal level. When you intentionally enter this calm mental rhythm through meditation, you are not escaping reality. You are preparing your mind to influence reality more effectively. You are training your mind to step beyond confusion and stress so it can access the deeper level where clarity and creativity already exist. And the more often you enter this calm state, the more natural it becomes for your mind to operate from that place of quiet power where ideas appear effortlessly, intuition becomes stronger, and the deeper intelligence of the mind begins quietly guiding you toward better decisions, clearer visions, and opportunities you may have never noticed before while the mind was trapped in constant noise and tension. Once the mind becomes calm and enters that deeper level of awareness, something extraordinary begins to happen. The imagination becomes more than just a daydream. It becomes a powerful tool that can guide the direction of your life. Most people imagine things all the time, but they do it without focus and without intention. They imagine their fears, their worries, their worst-case scenarios, and without realizing it, those repeated images quietly program the deeper mind. The deeper mind does not judge whether an image is positive or negative. It simply accepts what is repeated with emotion and clarity. Whatever picture is impressed upon it begins to shape attitudes, decisions, and behaviors. That is why visualization, when done in the right mental state, becomes one of the most powerful ways to influence the future. When the mind is relaxed and focused, the imagination becomes incredibly vivid. You can begin to create clear mental pictures of the life you want to experience. You see yourself confident, successful, calm, and capable. You imagine situations turning out in your favor. You mentally rehearse success as if it is already unfolding. And the deeper mind begins to treat those images as instructions. Think of the mind like fertile soil. Whatever seeds are planted into it will eventually grow. If the seeds are filled with doubt and fear, the results will reflect that pattern. But if the seeds are planted with clear images of success, growth, and possibility, the mind begins working silently to bring those outcomes closer to reality. As you repeatedly visualize your goals while the mind is calm and receptive, a powerful shift begins to occur. Your confidence begins to grow because the deeper mind starts recognizing the image of success as familiar. Your behavior begins to change because the mind naturally moves toward the pictures it has accepted as truth. Opportunities that once seemed invisible begin to appear because your awareness is now aligned with the vision you have created. This is not about wishful thinking. It is about directing the creative power of the mind. Every great achievement begins as an image inside someone's mind before it becomes a reality in the physical world. The difference between those who remain stuck and those who transform their lives is that one group leaves their imagination uncontrolled, while the other learns to guide it with intention. When visualization is practiced consistently in a calm and focused mental state, the mind begins to transform from a passive observer of circumstances into an active creator of possibilities, quietly building the internal blueprint that influences actions, decisions, and opportunities in ways that slowly begin shaping a future that once existed only as a picture inside the mind. For many people, the greatest barrier to transformation is not a lack of ability, intelligence, or opportunity. The real barrier is the invisible weight of stress, doubt, and negative programming that has been stored inside the mind for years. Every criticism, every failure, every moment of fear leaves a small imprint in the deeper layers of the mind. Over time, these imprints form patterns, and those patterns begin to influence how a person sees themselves and the world around them. When the mind carries too many of these negative patterns, it begins to operate like a radio tuned to the wrong frequency. Instead of noticing possibilities, it focuses on problems. Instead of expecting success, it prepares for disappointment. Even when good opportunities appear, the mind hesitates, questions, and pulls the person back toward familiar limitations, not because success is impossible, but because the deeper mind has been conditioned to expect struggle. Meditation begins to change this internal environment in a powerful way. When the body relaxes and the mind becomes calm, the constant stream of tension and mental noise begins to fade. In that quiet space, the mind gains the ability to release emotional pressure that has been building for years. Stress begins to dissolve, fear begins to lose its intensity. The mind slowly returns to a balanced state where clarity replaces confusion. This calm state also allows you to become aware of the thoughts and beliefs that have been running automatically in the background of your life. Many people never notice these hidden beliefs because their mind is always busy reacting to daily distractions. But when the mind becomes still, those beliefs rise into awareness where they can finally be examined and replaced. Instead of repeating thoughts like, I can't do this or this is impossible, the mind begins to absorb new instructions. Thoughts of confidence, capability, and possibility begin to take root. The deeper mind starts to accept a new identity, one that is not defined by past failures but by future potential. As these new patterns grow stronger, something remarkable begins to happen. Situations that once triggered anxiety now feel manageable. Decisions that once felt overwhelming become clearer. The mind becomes lighter, more focused, and more resilient because it is no longer carrying the heavy weight of old emotional programming. Little by little, the mind begins to reset itself, like a system clearing away outdated instructions and replacing them with new empowering beliefs, creating an inner environment where confidence can grow, creativity can flow freely, and the individual begins moving forward with a renewed sense of mental freedom and quiet inner strength that continues expanding as meditation becomes a consistent part of daily life. As the mind becomes calmer and the deeper patterns begin to change, the transformation does not remain inside the mind alone. It begins to influence the way a person moves through the real world. Many people believe that meditation only affects inner peace, but its real power goes much further. When the mind becomes clear and focused, the way you think, decide, and act begins to shift in powerful ways. A calm mind sees things differently. When the mind is filled with stress and confusion, it tends to react quickly and emotionally. Decisions are rushed, opportunities are overlooked, and small problems appear much larger than they actually are. But when the mind operates from a deeper state of calm awareness, perception becomes sharper. Situations can be observed with clarity instead of panic. Problems that once felt overwhelming begin to look like puzzles that can be solved step by step. This clarity strengthens your ability to make better decisions. Instead of acting out of fear or pressure, the mind begins responding with intelligence and balance. You start noticing details you once ignored. You begin recognizing opportunities that were always present but hidden behind mental noise. The mind becomes more strategic, more patient, and more confident in the direction it chooses. At the same time, intuition begins to grow stronger. Intuition is not magic. It is the mind's ability to process large amounts of information beneath the surface and deliver insights when the mind is quiet enough to listen. When the mind slows down and distractions fade, subtle signals become easier to recognize. You begin to sense when something feels right, when an idea deserves attention, or when a certain path may lead to a better outcome. This deeper awareness also changes how you respond to challenges. Instead of immediately feeling defeated, the mind begins searching for creative solutions. Confidence grows not because life becomes perfect, but because the mind becomes better equipped to navigate uncertainty. Obstacles become temporary situations rather than permanent barriers. Over time, these small shifts in thinking and perception begin producing real-world results. Better decisions lead to better actions. Better actions lead to better opportunities. And those opportunities create new experiences that reinforce the belief that change is possible. What began as a quiet practice of calming the mind slowly turns into a powerful inner guidance system that influences everyday life, helping a person move through challenges with clarity, recognize possibilities that others overlook, and step toward opportunities with a calm confidence that continues guiding their actions, decisions, and direction in ways that gradually reshape the reality they experience each day. Real transformation does not come from something you try once and then forget. It comes from something you practice until it becomes a natural part of who you are. Meditation works the same way. Many people try it a few times when they feel stressed or overwhelmed, but they treat it like a temporary escape instead of a powerful daily training for the mind. The true change begins when meditation becomes a consistent ritual, a quiet moment each day where you reconnect with the deeper power of your mind. Think of the mind like a muscle. If it is never trained, it becomes weak, easily distracted, and controlled by outside pressures. But when it is exercised regularly, it becomes stronger, more focused, and more resilient. Meditation is the training that strengthens the mind's ability to relax, concentrate, and guide its own direction. With each session, the mind becomes more familiar with calmness, more comfortable with stillness, and more capable of entering deeper levels of awareness. At first, the changes may seem subtle. You may simply notice that your thoughts feel quieter or that your body relaxes more easily. But as the practice continues, the effects begin to expand. Your reactions become calmer. Your thinking becomes clearer. Your confidence begins to grow because you know you can step away from chaos and return to a place of inner control. Consistency also deepens the connection between the conscious mind and the deeper intelligence within. Every time you enter a calm and focused state, you strengthen the pathway that allows ideas, insights, and creative solutions to rise more easily. The mind becomes trained to move into that powerful state faster and with greater stability. Over weeks and months, this daily practice begins to reshape your mental habits. Instead of starting each day in stress or confusion, you begin the day with clarity and intention. Instead of reacting automatically to problems, you approach them with calm awareness. The mind becomes more disciplined, more focused, and more aligned with the direction you want your life to move. Eventually, meditation stops feeling like something you must force yourself to do. It becomes something you naturally seek because you recognize the strength it brings to your thinking and the balance it creates in your life. What started as a few quiet minutes begins to influence the entire day, gradually building a mindset of clarity, confidence, and purpose that continues guiding your actions and decisions as the practice becomes a permanent foundation for growth, awareness, and the ongoing transformation of the life you are creating each day through the power of a trained and focused mind.